What's up, guys? Big Papa Drock back with another Raid Shadow Legends video, and this is so exciting, guys, because not only is this a video you have requested for a very long time, but on top of that, as you can see, I am not alone. I have got Colred here with me today, and once you hear the topic of the video, you'll understand why. But Colred, welcome in, dude. How are you? Have we had you on my channel before? Is this our first collab on my channel? I think so, right?
We did one where it was me, you, and Crop, but I don't remember if we hit everybody's channel.
That was on your channel, I think. That was only on your channel. Yeah. So this is your first collab on my channel, dude. So welcome in. And
I'm
guys, make sure to go give him a follow, throw him a subscribe. I'm going to link his YouTube channel down below. You might have seen him on other creators' channels. Colred is a free-to-play beast. And buddy, you know, I'm glad that I've got you here. We just recorded a video on your channel, by the way, and we were talking for hours. But now, now I'm bringing you over here because I need you to go through my free-to-play account with me and maybe help me make some, some tweaks and some small improvements. So welcome in, dude.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed the video that we did on my channel. I hope people enjoy that. But yeah, you and I battled so hard with the, with Crop in the Hell Hades free-to-play challenge earlier this year, and you've kept your account alive, and I love that you're doing free-to-play because, everybody knows you as that dirty Kraken that you are, but we love you for that too. But yeah, so I think one of the challenges in free-to-play is when you get into that mid-game, that late mid-game, that grind, it is a different game when you're playing free-to-play. So I'm excited to see the progress that you made, and I'm hoping that maybe I can help you out with a couple of solutions.
Yeah, man, you're so right too, because I understand now why Hell Hades does them for 3 months. Because after that 3 months, the wall becomes real. So I'm really excited to have you on the channel. I think there's definitely some things you can help me improve. But before we get to that, let's just do a quick overview of where my progress is at, and kind of what my experience has been like for the viewers, so that they know. And then Colred, I showed you a little bit beforehand, but we haven't gone into everything that I've done. So this will be helpful, I think, for you as well. So first and foremost, I'm going to start at the top here. I'm going to start with my level. So I'm level 85. I'm still not quite all the way in. Look at my sweet little badges, 2024. Look at me. So we're level 85. So 15 levels more to 100, which matters, just from perspective of progression rewards and stuff like that. Not super important for what I'm able to achieve, but let's also take a look at missions and where I'm at in that. So I've done Arbiter, obviously. I'm on the arena mission for Ramantu. Man, oh man, this takes so much time. I really never understood until I did free to play as to how much of a blocker these missions are, because they just require you to grind arena. And I'll be honest, I have not put in the time to really grind on this as hard as I should. So here's where I'm at in Ramantu. Here's where I'm at in Marius.
I will say, as far as Ramantu is concerned, like, I don't have my Ramantu yet. I've been playing free to play 3.5 years. I think.
Wow, there are really? Okay, I didn't know that. So what are you stuck on?
I'm actually not really stuck. It's just a matter of focus, right? It's like you said, putting in the time, the effort, and whatever. I think the mission I'm on right now is like 40 max glyphs. I think that's what it is. 45 star and 6-star max glyphs, which is like, as a free-to-play player, you don't waste glyphs for that. Like, you would never waste. So I have to actually hit on 40 max glyphs, But what I would say is, a lot of free-to-play players, they don't even play like Ramantu's part of the game. They're like, oh, that's either your win condition or you play like he doesn't exist. So the fact that you are only 9 months in and you're already pursuing it, like, that's your end game mentality coming into play. You're like, man, I'm going to do everything on this account. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's definitely like, I don't want to not do it. You know what I mean? Right. But that's so interesting for me to hear, because I've never understood that before until right now, that's something that I knew he's super hard to get. And I remember even on my spending account that it took me quite some time to get him. Also, that max glyph mission was the worst. I think we can all probably commiserate about that. But okay, so that's good. So I'm actually doing okay here, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, you're doing great.
I'm doing great. Now, this could be something that you probably help me with is Marius missions. I can definitely build this team. I just haven't had a chance to look at Fire Knight for hard mode yet. I have the champions to do it, but I'd love to get your input. we're not going to build the team, I think, right now, because it just takes way too much time.
Right.
And also, like, I got to make sure I have resources for this fusion. I am going for this fusion. And I've missed, just so you know, Colred, I've missed so many fusions because I fall asleep doing these damn Dungeon Diver events at freaking 2 a.m. and I fall asleep. And that happened to me with this fusion where I fell asleep.
East Coast life, man. It's rough.
East Coast life is brutal, man. And so I fell asleep doing a Dungeon Divers the other day, which means now I have to go hard on this summon rush to try to get Signy so I can avoid having to do some of these events from this. So I'm all in. As you can see, I've burned all my shards, but that's where I'm at with the mission aspect of stuff. So Marius is still still starting. Ramontu's coming along. Challenge wise, this doesn't matter. It's just goofy badges, and who cares about that? Let me show you kind of where I'm at, and let's show the viewers as well where I'm at with Faction Guardians, because I think this is useful just to know. Now, as you can probably guess, I haven't pulled a single legendary dupe, which is a good thing, I think, on a free-to-play account. I'm happy about that. So my Faction Guardians are slowly coming along. This is is this as time consuming for you as it is for me? Because this is like shocking how long this takes to fill out even the epics. I mean, I guess even hypothetically the rares, because I usually use them as food.
Yeah, it's very different free to play. I absolutely fill out all of my rares and I fill out all of my epics. But I would say, you're talking about like an 18-month to 2-year grind to complete every faction. Some factions will just elude you because that's the RNG that comes into play. I think the really important thing to get to is that third slot, like you've got right there on the Ogre, and getting that extra accuracy can be really nice for certain champions. Otherwise, you're trying to get all the way to 5 to get that extra speed. That speed can be really valuable on certain champions, but it also depends how many epics you use from every given faction.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you have to balance, like, do I want to empower this guy? Do I want to use him as a book? Do I want to use him as a chicken? Because you're short on every resource, right? So I usually go full Faction Guardians before I start feeding anybody. But the real thing that's changed now is with epic empowerment. It's like, because sometimes if you're going to only really use one epic in a faction, you may as well +4 them if you can.
So, okay, so this actually leads me to one of my first questions. So you talk about having, your epics, and I would definitely try to get my epics done because I think these are really valuable bonuses. Is it worth doing the rares for every faction, you think? Like, is it worth? Because I know some factions like Bannerlords are kind of, for lack of a better word, not good, but do you advise? Because the biggest thing that I run into, like, would you advise me to do that? Because we'll take a quick look at my stuff here, but it just takes forever to get stuff, to rank stuff up to 6. Like, I feel like I've done a pretty good job overall. And you can see, like, the other thing that really surprised me that I didn't really understand is how long it takes to get people to 60 even. Like, forget just getting them to 6, rank 6. I mean, my Creoden, my Farrakhan, and my Longbeard have been sitting at like level 55, level 56 for months because I keep having to prioritize my energy in other places in order to do fusions or do events. Or, God, it's a balancing act, dude. It's a freaking balancing act.
It is, and that's you're always juggling 10 balls in the air, and like chances are something's going to drop, and you've got to choose what's going to drop. It's like that's always the thing that's happening. So as far as rare Faction Guardians are concerned, I would say where you are on your account, you don't want to slow your progress. Like the snowball is rolling and you want it to pick up speed. And if you need to use those champions as food, then you use them as food. Because what's going to happen is the more you snowball, the more shards you get, and the more shards you get, the more champions you're going to get, and the easier it's going to build those Faction Guardians down the road.
Okay. That makes sense.
But I will say this: if there's a particular rares that you use, like Cold Heart, or maybe your starter champion, or if you have, a champion
take a look, brother. Look at that. Your boy is a free-to-play player, guys. It's happening. So it's interesting you mentioned that because that's what I've done. I've tried to prioritize the factions where I actually use rares consistently. Or where I haven't had good luck in pulling other champions. So, like, for example, my dwarves are full because up until recently, I pulled a couple good dwarves recently, but for the most part, I was trying to improve my faction wars, and I was stuck using rare champions and only rare champions. So that's good to hear.
And that's what I would say is the one caveat that you want to think about is if you're pushing any particular faction crypts and there's a good rare for that faction, that's like maybe worth a 6-star, or if not a 6-star, if you have a 5-star reviver, like a rare reviver, those are always key. And so sometimes, like if you got a tree shield knot, or what's the guy in the orc faction? He's a rare void rare who's a reviver. Gear grinder.
I didn't know that. Okay, there you go. Cool.
Yeah. So if you're looking at 3-star, having a reviver, a reliable reviver, can be really valuable. But sometimes you don't have the legendary or the epic reviver that you want to take up to 6 stars. So you build a nice tanky 5-star rare who's a reviver, and they just literally need to get you through. But sometimes the stats from the Guardian Ring will help you do that. And then once you've done it once, now you can just take all those Guardians, turn them into chickens.
Okay, that's actually interesting because I've pushed. We'll take a quick look at my faction wars because I think that actually leads in here. So you'll notice I can't really see it, but we'll bring it up here. I'm on 800. Let's move 852. 852 stars, which I think is pretty solid overall. I haven't gotten my Lydia yet, and to be fair to me, I haven't 1,000,000% pushed this content because I know what I need to do. And correct me if I'm wrong, because you know better than me, but I feel like the way to do this kind of stuff now is create your god tier sets in your preset manager and switch them on. So for example, what's my absolute best bolster or shield set, my absolute best savage set, or whatever else for my damage dealers, and then just switch them on. Am I on the right track with that? Is that how you would advise doing it?
Yeah, again, we're talking about, having those 10 balls that you're juggling in the air, and it's like sometimes you don't have the silver to switch stuff over.
Yes.
But if you're in Centranos and you can get your free coupons over there for gear removal, then you can have that bolster set you can swap from faction to faction, and you use, so it's like you have to hit Centranos in order to use that aspect of the gear presets to help you in factions, and then factions helps you collect the forge materials that get you more perception gear that helps you in other places. So it's like it's all, it's constant motion. You're constantly having to figure out all of those things. But yeah, that's a solid theory craft kind of approach to it, or tactical approach to it, I should say, which is that get your god tier bolster set. That's important.
Yeah.
Or at least a shield set. It doesn't have to be a bolster set. It could be a shield set.
Okay. I need to craft actually bolster, so let's do that right now, just for fun, because I haven't done this. By the way, Plarium is so sneaky with some of the stuff that they do, because I don't know, maybe I'm misremembering this, but I'm pretty sure in this most recent Forge Pass that this was less materials than they used to give. Do they not used to give 75, and they only gave us 40 this go around?
But now they give us 2 sets.
I don't want Defiant.
They used to give us one set. Yeah. They used to give us 1 set but more materials. Now they give us 2 sets but fewer materials.
Okay, well there you go. See, they've upgraded us in a way that I didn't want. So I actually haven't.
You can't do a 10 pull anymore.
Yeah. So that's exactly, I can't. So I haven't done a lot of farming on this. So I definitely need to do this during a CVC. So I'm not going to go crazy here, but my thought process was I was saving up. So I've got charms. I've got mythical charms now. I don't have any speed charms. Do you think this is still, so from a free-to-play perspective, I need bolster. Like I do. I need good bolster pieces. Is this worth doing even if I don't have speed charms to throw it in there? Or would you suggest a different charm? Like I don't necessarily want to do HP percentage in case I land like a chest piece or something else, but kind of what's your take as a free-to-play player?
So what I would say is for the bolster set specifically, I think it's okay to do without speed because the shield goes up regardless of how slow the champion is, right? Whereas if you were doing like an offensive set, you can't not have crit rate on a damage dealing set. But I think you could cobble together a fast enough bolster set for somebody, even if you're not using speed charms. So I think it's actually okay.
Wait, if you were going to use a charm, would you say defense or would you risk an HP percentage charm? I feel like that would be bad in case I pulled a chest piece or a glove or even a boot.
I guess the question would be, if you don't use it here, what set do you use it on? Like, is there a better set? Because the only other one that I could think of really would be the Guardian set. Because you're not going to use HP or defense on perception. Probably you're going to use speed or accuracy.
Yes.
So I would say go ahead and use it, because like, what are you saving it for, right?
Forget it. We'll do it. Okay, here we go. We're gonna. This is also very. Look at that. I actually got lucky and didn't get it on the thing, and I needed HP percentage. Wish I had gotten speed on this, but this still, 5-star works. Now this is bad playing from a free to play perspective, right? Because I'm not doing this on a CVC, right? Like, I'm not maximizing. Or is this still okay? Because I think that's one of the biggest things I've had to adjust to. And I'll be honest, sometimes I just want to pull those shards, Colred. I just want to pull those freaking shards. And I was watching Cropchio, because he's still been doing his free-to-play stuff. And the dude has saved so many shards. And I'm like, but Cropchio, don't you have the itch? Don't you have the itch to pull them shards all the time? I'm shard happy, bro.
Get it. You got to have discipline. You got to have discipline, Drock. You got to stay, on the course. No, I mean, there's always a balance. You have to enjoy your game. If you're not enjoying your game, and I say this to all my viewers as well, free-to-play players, like, if you have the itch and you really, really want to pull something or do something, you should, because it's going to be hopefully a way to enjoy the game. But that being said, if you want to say, is this the optimal usage for these? No, it's not the optimal usage. Is it really, really bad? No, you're losing a few CVC points. It's not critical.
Got it.
Do you know what I mean? Whereas I would say shards are a little bit more important to your overall account progression. So you want to be really disciplined with shards. But with gear stuff like this, if you want to pull, you should pull.
I want to pull, and we are going to pull. Okay, HP, flat HP there. That's rough. That hurts. But so would you?
No. That's a good piece.
So would you still keep this because it's got defense and HP percentage as substats and 6-star?
From a free to play perspective, flat HP is the best flat stat you can get on a chest piece or a glove or a boot.
Sure.
Plus those 3 substats are all great. The only one that would be better would be speed. Mm-hmm. That's going to be a decently strong. Like, it's a mid game piece. It's not an end game piece, but you're in the mid game, and that's gonna do well for you, I think.
This is so interesting for me because I feel like on my main account I skipped over the mid game entirely. Like, what is mid game? It's called credit card, baby. There was no mid game. I went straight from beginner to end game very quickly. So this is great because I would keep this anyway because I don't have good bolster pieces. Right. But it's interesting to hear that this really isn't a bad piece for where I'm at in my progression currently. So that's really cool to kind of hear. So can we get some good luck? Okay, so here's a question. So 5-star rare, would you keep this with where I'm at?
Where you are at right now with your bolster, keep 100% of the pieces. And if you're going to get rid of them, you want to get rid of them later after you try to start building them. Because remember, you don't know where it's going to be that you are lacking the one piece you need. So maybe that weapon all of a sudden just lets you put, we're talking about a god tier bolster set, but maybe we don't need a god tier set. Maybe we just need an okay set.
Would you even keep this?
No.
I was like, this is pretty bad, right? This one I can get rid of, right?
Yeah. No, that one's gone.
Okay, that one's gone. All right. This is such a great. Because this is a decent piece. We got HP percentage here. It's so fascinating to me too, because we just did this collab on your channel, and I'm not going to ruin the excitement, but if you want to see like what his arbiter speed is, it was so interesting for me to see because I've never really been exposed to end game free to play, right? Like really getting to see what that is. And it is a different world from where I'm at, right? You've played for, I think you said, 3 years, 4 years, how long?
Just under 3.5, yeah.
3.5 years. So basically the same amount of time that I have, except you've done it entirely free to play. And it's so interesting to see what's possible on an end game free to play versus, where I'm at and what I'm doing on this account. But this, for me, this is definitely a keep because it's got HP percentage. So we've got 3 more pieces here. Okay, defense percentage. I feel like I would keep this, right? Yeah.
That's really nice. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it's great. Okay, can we get like one god tier piece? Another HP percentage, really good. We'll take it. All right, come on. Last one. Come on. Oh. Okay. Weird.
That's a weird piece.
Weird piece. But I would absolutely keep this in case it rolled crit rate for something else because I am hurting for crit damage. Yeah. Crit damage gloves. And I actually have, you know what? We're gonna roll this right now because I actually have a mythical thing. And if this rolls triple on the attack, maybe I reroll it. I don't know. Would you or would you not?
No, that's an interesting idea. You definitely could. The other thing to think about is like if you just don't have like that's a 6-star crit damage with a crit rate substat that rolled 7%.
Yeah.
You could make that into a damage piece even though it's bolster for somebody else. Do you know what I mean? Like you could always do that.
Oh, I'm definitely not re-rolling it now that it rolled everything. So I'm going to leave it alone. I'm not going to roll it to 16 because we have an artifact enhancement coming up and I'm struggling for silver, as you can tell. I've got the gems, but I'm struggling for the silver.
The best case scenario there for that piece might be like weirdly an HP based kind of nuker that you don't use in arena or somewhere else. And you're just like, well, I could get a little bit of, because sometimes the problem with free to play faction crypts is that you don't know where your damage is coming from.
Yeah. I'm running into that issue so badly. Specifically, I'm not going to roll the rest of these right now, but specifically in my Knight's Rev crypt, where I just don't have the damage to get through stage 20, which is really hard with, I got to cleanse stuff, and I have an Ancora. I got lucky enough to pull an Ancora, funny enough, after not getting her on the fusions from when we started our free-to-play challenge. So I have one now. I've gotten lucky in that regard, but I can't get enough damage. And so this actually leads me to my next question, and maybe you can help me with this. So, we were talking a little bit beforehand about the decisions I've made on my account and who I've chosen to rank 6 to 6-star versus who I haven't. So if you were looking at 6-starring somebody else, because I'm about to be able to do that, who would you pick here? And don't say Deacon because I'm not doing it yet. Even though I know,
me, I love Deacon.
You love Deacon, I know, and I want my Deacon 6-star for sure. But I'm trying to the things I've been focusing on recently are how do I get further in my faction wars a little bit? So I want to progress a little bit more there. And I need to progress more on dungeons. And the other big thing, just to give you a preview, because we're going to talk Fire Knight a little bit, but the other big thing right now is I can't quite get my Doom Tower hard finished. I am stuck on this boss. Now, to be fair to me, I have not re-geared anything. I really haven't put the time into trying to figure this out. I just have kind of thrown what I have against the wall to see if it's enough. But if there were going to be one thing you could make some suggestions on in this video, I'd love to hear your thoughts on maybe what I should do here, because I would like this Sacred Shard so that I could pull it right away for this Summon Rush. And I've got 1 day left to do it because it's about to be Sunday. But before we get there, there's a lot I'm throwing at you right now, Colred. We're putting you through the paces. But if you were going to 6-star a couple more champs, who do you think should be on my list right now? Like who would you look at? Maybe give me your top 3 that I should look to improve.
Right. Well, really easily, I think near the top of the list has to be Neldor.
Okay, so do you think Neldor because of Fire Knight then, is that right?
Yeah, because he's great for regular Fire Knight and he'll help you speed up maybe or make it easier to farm Fire Knight 20, but then he's the best epic in the game for Fire Knight hard mode. Obviously, you've got Ferric in the Fat already. You've got the ally attack. You've got Ninja there who's got freezes if you need it. So you're starting to build a freeze team. Now you just need the speed, maybe, something to help you do a little bit more damage, like maybe a weaken or something. I don't know, whatever you want. But I think Neldor is because when you do hard modes of dungeons, you kind of do them in stages. And it's what's going to help you break into it to get to stage 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Then can you get to 6 and farm 6, because 6 is where after 6 the stats really ramp up. And you're going to need the gear to get beyond 6, but can you get to 4? Can you get to 6? And I think Neldor is going to be key to that. He's also usable in a lot of places. He's got an AoE slow as well on his A2. So you can use him in all sorts of, or is A3? A3.
A3, yeah. And you can see I put some books into him. He is one of the champions I have been focusing on. And it's funny that you mentioned him because I've really debated 6-starring him. The thing that's held me back is he's high elves, and I finished my high elves faction wars. This is the hardest thing to juggle. You talk about juggling different balls. I would have easily 6-starred him previously, but I'm I've already done faction wars in high elves, right? But I guess it's still worth it because he helps me get better gear, which helps make other stuff easier, right?
Right. So now you need the Savage gear to push all of the other places, and you need to get in there to Fire Knight to get the Savage gear, and he's going to unlock that for you. So it's a little bit unfortunate. Oh, you also have Cryodan there.
I do, yeah. So that's the thing. I already have a 6-star Cryodan. So I have the makings of a really good Fire Knight hard team. I just haven't sat down to put it together. Spoiler alert. The part that I don't enjoy is building PvE teams. I've never liked it. I love building arena teams, and that's where I get my enjoyment in Raid. Surprise, surprise. That's kind of what my whole MO is. I hate spending time to like put together an arena or a non-arena, like a PvE team. So I feel like I have the pieces for Fire Knight Hard 1. I've got Cryodan, I've got Neldor, I have Farrakhan the Fat. Who else do you think goes on the team?
Who's awesome for that.
Carl, good point.
So yeah, I think ultimately it's going to be a matter of like, how do you put the entire team together? And in this particular case, maybe you're right. Maybe Neldor is kind of redundant because you've got Cryodan, and you've got, like for the first few stages of hard mode, you probably won't need Neldor. To clear stage 10, you might eventually, but you have some time. So maybe he moves back in terms of priority a little bit. We were talking about like the Eternal Dragon, and then also you're talking about Knight's Revenant, and you do have a 4-star blessing on a level 50
Sinesha.
Thank you.
Yes.
Sinesha.
So this is also one of the ones I was thinking of doing. And who do you recommend? So this is the other thing too, is that so much of my focus on my main account is what helps me in arena, right?
Right.
Like what blessings help me in arena. Sometimes it's PvE based, and it's not like I don't know different things, but I'm curious, like, do you feel like for someone like Sinesha, for a blessing, are we looking at something like cruelty? Are we looking at something like maybe, I mean, we don't have her 6 stars, so not crushing Rem, but emergency heal? Kind of what do you go for a champion like this if you're trying to balance, she's really, I guess, going to be more of a PvE thing. So what do you feel like is best, and what do you put most of your champions in on your free-to-play account?
That's a really good question, and the truth of the matter is it completely changes depending on what the primary purpose of that champion is. So for instance, if you're trying to turn her into an Eternal Dragon solution, then it might be different than if you're going to also use her in PvP, or if you're going to use her somewhere else. One of the things that I do with my Sinesha and my Skull Crown is I've got them both in stun sets.
Okay.
So I try to put them with ally attackers when possible for wave content. They're both hitting pretty hard. She's got decently high accuracy. They both have decently high accuracy to land their debuffs and their instant skills.
Because you want to lock out? Is that part of what you're doing for Eternal Dragon? Yeah.
Yeah, so Eternal Dragon is one of the few bosses where you can actually lock out his skills.
Yeah. Yep.
And so she is actually extremely valuable for that fight. But then as a free-to-play player, like we were saying before, I need to find as many solutions for this champion as, like, if I'm taking her to 6 stars, what else can I solve with her? So stun set, does a stun set have enough accuracy on your account to both do Eternal Dragon hard mode, like the last one, and also potentially do faction crypts? Or if not, are you going to have to use your gear coupon to swap her in and out every time this rotation comes around? And they're all viable options, but and then the other consideration is there a more valuable champion? Is there somebody else who's going to give you 3 or 4 solutions where she only gives you 2? Or maybe she gives you more. Maybe you can figure out more ways to use her once you've built her. So that's hard to know without diving more into your account. But as far as the blessings are concerned, I would say, it makes sense to put cruelty on her. It makes sense to put crushing rend on her if you had a high level of that. One thing I like to do on champions that I'm trying to keep alive, if you go up to, I think it's light. No, I'm sorry. It must be chaos there. Put emergency heal.
This is the one I was thinking about too, because I'm trying to balance, because one of the things that I've noticed on my account is it's really hard to keep some of these champions alive, man. Yeah. It's like the 2 things that I really struggle with is keeping people alive, especially for faction crypts, and also getting enough damage. Like that's like, there are hard damage checks on some of these bosses where if you can't do enough damage in a certain amount of time, it doesn't matter how long you stay alive, you will just get owned because you can't get through their skill stuff. And I know Knight's Revenant is one of those factions. So I guess that's the question. Do you think you know, given that maybe I want to use her in Eternal Dragon, should I roll with Cruelty on this? Because she needs to be a damage dealer here for sure. She's 4-star Awaken. I got to get damage out of her. I need accuracy to lock him out. But I also need her damage, I think, for Knight's Rev. I do have an Ancora, so that maybe helps me there, where Ancora plus Sinesha plus Skull Crown, maybe that gives me enough. Maybe it's worth doing Cruelty because she's the only person with a 4-star Awakening.
Yeah, and if you don't have trouble keeping her alive, or if you have a good reviver that can bring her back, then then I would start moving towards getting more damage out of her. Because even like she's not going to hit super hard, right?
Yeah.
Her multipliers aren't awesome.
They're terrible. They're terrible. Right. I remember this. They're so freaking bad. They're like 900 base level when fully like rank 6. So they're really bad.
Yeah, but I would say yeah, any way to get additional damage into the squad would work. And certainly if you use her, you end up using her in an arena, that's not going to be bad. If you're using her against wave content and Doom Tower, that's not going to be bad. You know, but I do like if you go back to your roster for a second.
Yeah.
So if we think about like multiple solutions here, we've got the Farrakhan the Fat, right? We've got Sinesha, we've got Skull Crown. If we can get them into, you know, decently damaging, maybe one of them into stun set. Now you get that ally attack. You've got a blender comp for arena, maybe 3v3 arena. You've got the Knight's Revenant doing a little bit better. This is also great for climbing Doom Tower waves, especially in normal where you just want to go fast. You've got your Seeker giving increased attack to everybody. You've got the increased crit rate and increased crit damage from Farrakhan the Fat. And now maybe you have, you know, one of the speed leads, maybe Ancora is your speed lead, or somebody who's got an aura there just to get people faster, or a High Katoon, or a Deacon who's got a decreased defense.
You're really selling me on getting this Deacon built. Like, Drock, what are you doing, man? Why is your Deacon not 6 stars, brother? And it's so funny because it takes so long to get these damn chickens, man. It takes so long. And I think that's the fun of it, and also the frustration, where that's such a different enjoyment from you know, my main account. Because if I want something on my main account, I just snap my fingers, and 9 times out of 10, I get it, with the exception of these freaking souls, which I'm not going to go into, but I can't, they won't give me a damn Marius soul to buy. It won't do it. It won't even give me the 1-star Marius soul. Thanks, Plarium. Thanks, Plarium. But anyway, back to free to play. It's just so hard because there are so many of these champions I want to 6-star, right? I absolutely want a 6-star Deacon. I definitely want a 6-star Neldor. I 100% want a 6-star Sinesha. And then funny enough, some of these Legos, I'm like, I don't really necessarily want a 6-star some of these. I've had like really good luck from pulling a lot of Legos. I just haven't pulled what I would consider to be, you know, oh yeah, these are meta god tier. This is your Duchess, your Rhodos, your, you know, incredible, even a Sun Wukong would be great for arena and stuff like that. So I'm really hesitant to 6-star some of these over some of the epics, weirdly enough. And that's such a weird feeling because on my list, for example, is Lady Annabelle, specifically for the Bommel rotation, because I cannot beat that without her. It's just not doable at level 90. I cannot do it. I don't have the gear to pull it off. I think I have the champions. I just don't have the gear. So I have to kind of cheese it with her. But okay, so
it's really interesting because this is free to play life. This is, you are experiencing what mid game as a free to play player feels like, and all of the things that you've brought up are exactly what everybody experiences. And you're asking the right questions, and you're making the decisions. But if you scroll up, I just want to show you the top of your roster a little bit.
Yeah.
How many 6-star legendaries do you have so far?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I have 15 6-star legendaries.
How many of them are booked?
I've got Mithrala booked. I've got Rathalos. So they're not, some of them are not fully booked because it just doesn't make sense. So for example, like I haven't fully booked my Arbiter because although this is helpful, it's not where it needs to be. But so Thor is fully booked, Ancora is fully booked, Eostrid's fully booked. Galkabar is booked the way that I want him to. I haven't bothered with this because I just wanted this. They're actually surprisingly more booked than you would expect. Like,
you've done a good job with it. You've done a really good job with it.
I've tried to prioritize the ones that really make a difference, but the ones that aren't booked, like I started putting a little bit of books into Countess Lix just because she's so ass without books. Like she really needs like set what the hell is this? 7 turn.
You got to watch out for
cooldown?
Vizix, because Vizix is so good for
I know.
Hydra that you know, if you don't book her, then she's also not good in Hydra if you don't book her.
So I also did a little bit on Drexstar because I wanted the provoke to land like a little bit higher as well, and also just to have a higher chance of HP burn. But okay, so sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. And by the way, I'm just, it's just so exciting for me because it's great to have someone who lives this life all the time, whereas I don't. And you're absolutely right about what it feels like to be a free-to-play player, because I don't feel so good, Mr. Cole Red, when it comes to these damn books and like chickens.
I did a collab recently where I think I said something along the line of like the mid game is where free-to-play dies. And for like I would say 90% of players who get to where you are, they either leave the game or they convert to spending because it's so grindy and you're lacking so many things and you feel like, you know, the weight of the world's on you and it's just hard to figure out what you want to do next. But the truth of the matter is you've done a really, really good job in utilizing your resources well. I will ask one additional question before I make it. Do you have any skill tomes of any type sitting in your
I have just used every single one for this champion training event. I have the only one. Also, good Lord, this is tough to get mythical books as free to play. They do not give these things out. And I'm not, and actually I think this I'll quickly segue into this because I think it's worth seeing how close I am to Lady Mikage. I've got my 2 epics. I've got 1, 2, 3. I'm just missing my Ashma. And then over here, I haven't been as lucky. I am missing everything except for Endalia. So but so not pretty good. Not too bad. Not super far away. Hypothetically, it's just they like I don't know if you noticed this. I'm sure if my viewers who are free to play notice this. They love to put guaranteed events for these champions right after you've already pulled all your shards. So generous of Plarium to give us a guaranteed event for a champion right after I've pulled every freaking shard for a fusion. Wow, so nice. So
I have a sort of a warm fuzzy on the inside right now, Drock, because you're living the free-to-play life. And like I love watching your content on the end game stuff because I know like there are things that I will never do in this game. And you do a lot of those things with the +4 powered mythicals and stuff. And I'm like, okay, I can't live that life. But to see you living my life a little bit, like that also feels good too.
Yeah.
And the truth of the matter is you're doing a great job at it. But I will say, you know, like if we go back to that roster there, and we're talking about 6-star and we're talking about the trouble with the books and all that stuff, you really start looking for epics and rares, even legendaries that function well at 6 stars and don't need books at all, like Doom Priest. Doom Priest is a beautiful champion without books. Right? She is one of those champions where you're like, every account needs a Doom Priest. You're going to find all sorts of ways to get value out of her, and she doesn't need a single book.
Yeah, and you'll see, so I haven't booked her, so there you go.
Why not take her up at some point? Now, again, maybe do it during a champion training when you need to get points, you know, but it's like,
this is actually a question because I thought about 6-starring her the other day, specifically for Knights Rev's Faction Wars, and because I know she's so usable in other areas of the game with cleansing and healing and building her in a relentless set, which I imagine is still probably the way to go. You know, maybe relentless, maybe bolster, I don't know, something that heals her regeneration. But the only reason why I didn't was I started thinking, like, could I build her tanky enough at 50 to beat a faction war and 6-star? So it was like, should I 6-star Sinesha? Should I 6-star Doom Priest? Right? That's kind of where I was at. And I feel like I should, like, she definitely needs to be 6-starred for sure. Yeah. This is like where the prioritization comes into play. Who gives me, and this is the other thing. So Royal Guard, right? Now I know Royal Guard isn't probably as in demand as he used to be when they started putting in.
He's good. He's very good.
He's still in demand for stuff. So here's the other aspect. I haven't even shown you this yet, but I have a I don't know why I went to empower. I just, what the hell? I'm like over here like I need to empower. I have a 6-star Royal Guard soul. So I wonder if that also changes stuff, like where now I should really try to make him, you know,
straight to the top of the list.
Straight to the top of the list, right?
Absolutely. He's a high value epic that is usable at endgame, free to play endgame. Absolutely. You'll use him in Hydra, you'll use him in all sorts of places. How many 6-star souls do you have? Any? Do you have any?
I don't think I have a single one. I think he's the only one. He's the only one.
Absolutely. He goes right to the top of the list. The only reason you wouldn't make him your next 6-star is if there's somebody that solves a solution, like say Eternal Dragon, where you're like, I need that Sacred Shard. I want that Sacred Shard desperately. I don't want it to slide past in the next 2 days. And he doesn't help you get that, let's say. The truth of the matter is, he's not a bad champion for that fight. He's actually not a bad champion for that fight.
Yeah, he's good. He's got max HP damage. He's got, slow, all sorts of stuff. So that makes sense.
Yeah, he's even got a decreased defense on his A1.
That's right.
So he's an extremely high value champion. I would absolutely think about bringing him up next. But again, we're on a timer with the Doom Tower. So if you're going to 6-star him, you need to 6-star him. You need to have him booked. You need to have him, masteried. You need to have him geared. You need to have all those
6
things.
days, but I really have 1 day to do this. So I think we have a pretty good idea of where I should go next on what to 6-star. So Royal Guard, Sinesha, Deacon absolutely belongs on the list. I think Neldor makes sense.
Yeah.
Maybe a Doom Priest, Lady Annabelle, maybe those guys first, would you say? That way that covers more of my bases for doing content. The arena person in me wants to, Madam Sarah's, maybe she's right there.
Yes.
She's right there,
Colred. She's awesome. She's awesome.
So incredible.
She's so good in PvE. She is so good in
PvE, right? Because that decreased attack and decreased defense and buff strip. So I was also thinking her. But like I would say I've had really good epic luck. Like I've pulled some damn good epics, and I think I've had like just luck in terms of the amount of legendaries I've pulled. But okay, this helps a lot. So let's talk briefly on Fire Knight, because I did want to just also take a look at my dungeons and where we're at. Now, I'll give you a quick caveat. I have not pushed on any of the dungeon content really at all. I've done kind of like just the bare minimum. So Iron Twins, I haven't pushed. This isn't a guaranteed, like, I know I can build a team with Optimizer with around Maneater and Painkeeper and all that stuff. I just haven't had the time, right? It's life gets in the way. So that's where we're at with that. All the keeps are beat. Like there's no problem there. Minotaur, of course, beat. Here's where I'm at, where my dungeons. We'll just quickly run through all these so you can see. So Ice Golem, I'm still running 20 consistently. So I hate this dungeon, and I haven't spent the time. I can obviously clear higher, but I just haven't spent the time to put together a team. It's not on my priority list.
There's no reason.
Yeah,
there's no reason.
Ice Golem sucks.
I farm stage 20.
Yeah, there you go. You farm stage 20. So that's good to know, because I just really hate that dungeon. Now, I haven't spent the time to update this since I've gotten Thor, I don't think. Am I using Thor? No. So this is an old team I was using. This clears like stage 2 guaranteed, no problem. So I definitely feel like I could push a little bit higher in Spider, but even Spider now isn't, I guess, as valuable as it once was because the event dungeon. But to be fair, I really didn't farm the event dungeon much, so I guess maybe this is something I should invest in. Yeah.
And if you're pushing faction crypts, you're gonna need accessories.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so we'll put this on the priority list. Now dragons, I'm in hard. I consistently just farm stage 2. This is the dungeon that I really want to change my clan boss around, and we need to look at that, so we'll look at that after this. But this is a team I haven't bothered with since the free-to-play challenge. I've just left it alone, so I know I can push higher here. But what I wanted to do was I wanted to build a Theodore solo team to potentially be able to grind leveling other people up. That was my thought process. Yeah, so I can cover some of those bases, because you talk about being able to cover multiple stuff. Well, that's the biggest thing I think holding me back from dungeon progress is Theodore is in my clan boss team, and I can't build him the way I need to in order to be able to change him to be my dungeon farmer, hypothetically, even for Ice Golem, I guess, and other stuff, where he's valuable. So that's on the list. And then for Fire Knight, I do
before you go to Fire Knight, that's actually an incredible value for a free-to-play account, is to have somebody who can at least duo Dragon 20 and Ice Golem 20.
Yes.
So what I would suggest is, if you can't solo, look for a duo. And one really good duo champion is actually Syl of the Drakes.
Okay.
So she gives you a lot of value in that she keeps the other champion alive with heals. She's got a revive, but she's also got that AoE stun that really makes the waves much more manageable if you don't have the regen and immortal gear that you like at the level that you need. It just makes life, it's not fast, but it makes life more manageable. And that kind of bridges the gap before you get that gear to make Theodore or whoever your solo champion. So consider that as a duo, because hey, three food spots is still a lot of extra, champion training.
Got it. Okay, that's good to know. That's an interesting thing. I hadn't considered that actually. Okay, so that's where we're at with dragons. And then Fire Knight, I can, 100% stage 25, not a problem. I have not even bothered to do stage 1 of hard because I know it's so champion specific. And obviously now I have the chance. So let's quickly talk, just, top of your head, if you were building a Fire Knight hard team with my roster. In my head, I'm thinking Creode and Neldor, maybe on the same team. I don't know if that's maybe too much, but Creode and Neldor, probably Farakin because he has the ally attack. Do I have another ally attacker here?
You have two. You actually have Longhorn.
I do. I have Longbeard. Yeah, that's right.
Longbeard, not Longhorn. Longbeard.
I wanted to call him Longbeard or Longhorn earlier, weirdly enough. So our brains are melding, but.
And you also have Lanathril, but he's only 50. So I think
yes.
Now you can run 2 ally attackers. That's something that can happen, but you do need to deal with the waves.
Yeah.
Honestly,
that's the question.
Honestly, you can bring in Thor. You could bring in Ninja. You could bring in somebody who just basically nukes waves.
The other thought I had was Armand's, because that's what I've been cheesing stuff with. For wave, like it's super slow. He's such a cheat code in some of this stuff. Like it's hilarious how much farther let me push in different things, even in the free to play challenge. But I thought about building a team like that, where it's like Armand's, Neldor, Creodin, one of the ally attackers. Who would you pick if you were going to pick one of the bunch? Who do you think is the best? Lanathril?
No, I think that
Longbeard.
Yeah, I think you would probably go with Longbeard or with Farrakhan the Fat, not Lanathril, because and really it depends on if you want the crit rate buff or not. Right?
Okay.
Like the crit damage buff is enough, but I think Longbeard, who I don't have on my main account actually, but I've had before, he gives you just a flat damage buff of 20%. And for dungeons it's fine because it's 4 allies, so you'll get an extra hit in where Farrakhan doesn't attack, right? So Longbeard will attack. So you'll get 1 additional hit on the shield. So that's a factor versus the crit rate. So if your gear is not good enough, you want to use that 30% crit rate, you can use that. Also, I think he has a decreased defense on his A1. So he has that as well.
So but I will say this. You think Coldheart then? Who's your 5th champion there?
Yeah, I like Coldheart. I do think in the long run, you're probably going to want Yakarl in so I would run Yakarl with Cryodan and then the ally attackers probably, because he's going to give you that wave clear, like that wave control and the AoE freeze, but he's got a slow on his A2, and that's really critical. You're going to want that slow on the boss down the line, plus he's got the freezes on his A1s, so that's really nice. For where you are right now though, I think the thing, when we did our collab on my channel, one of the things that you said about the meta in high level arena is that it's speed. It's the craziest speed meta you've ever seen, and speed is king. Speed is also king in PvE, and you don't yet really have it anywhere in the teams that I'm seeing. So you've got some options. Ancora at least gives you a speed aura. You've got Astrid, who I think is awesome because she gives you turn meter control for the wave. She gives you an AoE weaken. She gives you that increased speed, turn meter fill. You've got Deacon with the aura and the turn meter fill. You've got
she was in my Doom Tower team. I took her out, but she was in here. What? Oh, that was a boss. That's why. I was like, she's definitely in here. Yeah, I use her all the time. So yeah, this is
that's the speed team that we're looking for, and we probably want to mimic that in dungeons. And one other champion to consider, I think, would be your Seeker. If your Seeker is built fast, that gives you a lot of turn meter fill plus the increased attack, plus provoke, which can be useful a little bit against waves. I don't love him as much as, say, a Deacon or an Astrid, because they give you good debuffs that are going to clear that wave out faster. And the control with the turn meter fill. But I think that's one of the things that you want to consider. So because Astrid doesn't have a speed aura, you know, is Ancora the better match? Is Deacon the better match? Is
Got it.
High Katoon the better match? But I would say speed is going to be necessary as you go up in those stages of hard mode dungeon. Speed becomes incredibly hard to, like, you need more and more and more speed.
Yeah.
And
Makes
so
sense.
yeah, it just alleviates the pressure on your gear, right? To have that speed aura, to have that turn meter fill.
Yeah, the gear check is real. The gear check is very real with how hard that is. But okay, so we're thinking along the same lines there. It's just a matter of me sitting down. But let's talk what I really want to talk right now, which is stupid. I hate this boss. I hate this damn boss. I've always hated this boss. And you know why I hate this boss? Because I forgot that you can put his damn things on cooldown until you started talking about Sinesha. And I was like, oh my God, I could have just...
the only boss you can do it to.
I know. And I was like, how did I forget this? Like, how did I forget that I don't have to deal with his crap? I can just put it on cooldown. Why did I not think about this earlier? And literally, as you were talking about him, and you're like, oh yeah, Sinesha works. And I was like, why the hell Sinesha? Oh my God, of course, because cooldown. So, okay, so let's talk about a team for this. And again, we're not going to build it right now, but I need to get this damn shard because this shard prevents me from having to pull another... the fact that you have to send 5 hours pulling mystery shards is what really kills me. So save me. I'm hoping that my clan boss turns up 1 or 2 more sacreds. If I get really lucky before tomorrow, I probably won't. But if I can get that sacred, I'm basically there. You know what I mean? And I need this. I've committed to this fusion. I need this Signy to save the fusion because without her, I'm one Denid the Tusk Knight short. So
let me say this before you go past that, though.
Yes.
If you do happen to get the Sacred Shard and you get those 500 points, consider pulling the mystery shards anyway.
No.
In order to get the legend, in order to get the legendary tome, there's a legendary tome. 500
to
points.
do it anyway. Okay, yeah. I was look. I'm not sitting to do 2,000 freaking mystery shards.
No.
This
but
is
500
this is
of them.
hell. The fact that they do this crap, they do it on purpose. They don't let you pull 100 at a time because they want to break you. Yeah, they have broken me. I will not pull. I mean, I pulled 1,000 plus of these damn things the other day. I was dying, Colred. I was dying. I was like, this is hell. This is hell. But you make a valid point.
Life.
Yeah, it's free to play life. Yeah, welcome to free to play life.
But yeah, go and get that legendary tome at the very least, because that the biggest bottleneck on my account as a free to play player is legendary skill tomes. Yeah, absolutely. My roster is so much better than the number of books I have to actually build champions with.
It's so tough, right? Because like some of these champs, like Gwendolyn is a good champ. Like I would like to fully book her out. She's actually kind of naughty. She could even be good for clan boss if I wanted to do it there, or Hydra. But it's just like the books are tough. Like I've tried to prioritize the books that make the most sense, or like the champions that were like, if I don't book them, they really do suck. And like Lix is just like, she's actually a good champion when fully booked. Decreased speed plus a cooldown reduction plus, I think, doesn't she have a weaken on one of these things or something like that? Hold on. Well, just on the A1, but the decreased speed is great. The cooldown and block active skills, this is like more of my arena type thing. But
that's where your arena focus comes out. Like as a free to play player, I would not have built Lix to 60.
Yeah, I can understand. I get why.
But then the other free to play part of me is like, well, she is 60, so figure out how to use her.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Like she's 60, figure out where can you get value, and if you can get value without books, get value without books. Because honestly, you have, like you have your Carl sitting there who needs books. You have a couple of other of your legendaries who need books. I don't know where she would be in my priority list, but since she's 60, maybe that's enough. Just put, maybe she's a faction.
I wanted her for arena, for tag team arena. I wanted her for faction wars, and I wanted her for Hydra because she can be used in Hydra with decreased speed as like a combo damage dealer for certain things. That was kind of my thought process, but I think you're absolutely right. I probably should have leveled up somebody else.
Yeah, but Thor and you have Vizix, both who have decreased speed as well.
To be fair, I did her before Thor
came
in, and I did her before I had Vizix. That was part of the reason why. So that if like they hadn't even announced Thor, and then of course Thor replicates all of what she does plus better. So that was free to play life, right? But
exactly.
So so let's talk about a team for Eternal Dragon. Let's
Okay.
just put one together here. I got to beat this tomorrow. I probably need to level up my Sinesha. I think that's probably got to happen, I would imagine, you think? Or you think I can get away with her at 50?
Why don't you show me the team you're currently trying with, and then because I've got an idea that might work, but every free to play solution can be a little bit different. Like I said, every free to play player's experience is a little bit different. But who were you running?
So I was running Thor. I was running Rathalos. I had Ancora in here for speed and also for turn meter or like cooldown, whatever reduction. And I think I had Ancora and who else was I using? Mithrala was one for healing and for resisting. And then I feel like I had Drexstar at one point for HP burns. I was trying lots of different stuff. I got close with this team. I got down to about a quarter and just couldn't quite pull it off. So that's kind of how I was rolling before.
That's not bad. Actually, I think that I would probably keep Ancora, Mithrala, and Thor, and I would pull the other two. I don't know. I mean, if your Rathalos is built really, really well, he's like my best built champion. Yeah, so then it's hard. But I would say I would probably bring in Estrid here to give you the speed and turn meter fill and the weaken, which is going to be important on the ads. Valid. And then honestly, you need some form of, well, she gives you a little bit of healing on the turn meter increase, doesn't she? She
gives you a bit. I mean, I also tried Vogoth at one point because this has kind of been like my go-to. This guy is my carry and everything, and he's built in Guardian, so he takes a little bit more damage to take people off other people. But it's not a great, incredible build.
I mean, so right now we have an AoE decreased defense and an AoE weaken, right?
Do we decreased defense? Hold on. Who does
Does Thor? What does Thor give us? He gives us a
He gives us slow, but no AoE decreased defense.
You know who gives us an AoE decreased defense?
I'm looking here.
So you could certainly think about Duke the Pierce or Stagnite here because they both give you an AoE decreased attack and decreased defense, which could be useful. You don't really need two damage dealers. What you need is to stay alive and keep killing the priest.
You think this?
That could do it, depending on how they're built.
Screw it. Let's just give. I'm curious to see how close we come. Now I'm just going to try to save some of these abilities for the boss fight, I think.
How's your Duke the Pierce built? Is he built pretty well, or
he's built high resist. He's not a super damage dealer, but he's built high resist, high accuracy.
I think you only need one damage dealer. The question is, the boss is going to heal, right, based on his minions.
Yeah.
But he should only heal once.
He's in Merciless, by the way. Check that out. Pretty nice, right? Little Merciless action.
Who's in Merciless?
My Thor.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
My boy. Okay, here we go. So, we hit with the A1 here, I assume?
Sure.
I would imagine I hex, or do I buff?
I would probably just, I wouldn't use any buffs. I would just use
hold
poison.
off.
I just use the
poison.
A1,
We'll get the hex. Of course. Oh, he's immune to that. All right.
Yeah.
We definitely want
the
here.
Speed boost. Yeah.
Definitely want. Oh well, probably I should have waited on the weekend, but that's okay.
A1, because we want the ads to spawn before we use all the stuff.
Well, he's gonna get locked out anyway. All this stuff's gonna get locked out. When I get whatever.
But that's what Mithrala's for, right?
Well, she can't reset though.
No, you don't get locked out. Don't you only? It's a cleansable thing, isn't it?
Is it cleanse? The lockout's cleansable?
It's a debuff. I
you're talking block active skills, but everything gets put on cooldown.
Oh, gotcha.
That's the thing. So I feel like everything's gonna be put on cooldown, so I should use this now to reduce damage.
Yes,
because he's gonna lose this anyway.
You want the decrease attack,
and of course he resisted.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right. So mechanically, do you normally start hitting the priest right away, or do you just ignore him? Yeah. Okay. So that's what I've always done is hit the priest right away. So our Mithrala is good, so we can hex everybody now, I believe. So increase damage. Now I have Relentless on my Yostrid. Good Lord. Look at the damage my Thor took. Oh, my Lord. The pain is real.
I think we'll be okay if we
if I use this now, they're all going to get locked out. This is the problem. If I try to keep him alive. But he will die.
Right. And so that's what Ancora's for, I guess.
Yeah, I guess I'm just going to have to wait.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
So now you can just start hitting the... Yeah. All right.
Okay. Lockout, but she's going to go first. I guess I should go ahead and kill the ads or not?
Yeah, if you want.
Yeah, why not? Kill one of the ads.
He's only going to eat one anyway, because then he's going to cycle back around. But
yeah.
So he will heal. So I think what's happening right now is, the Thor...
He's just not tanky enough.
Right. So remember we were talking before about Scylla the Drakes being like that bridge champion?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes she can fit into teams like this, where she gives you heals every time she gives you that additional reviver. So the question is, if Mithrala is not bringing you enough value here, maybe you replace her with Scylla of the Drakes. That gives you a little bit more healing and revive. The other thing, honestly, that you could think about, depending on how desperate you are, is taking Thor out of that set and putting him in a lifesteal set.
Yeah, I guess that would be the thing to do, because this is where I just struggle, is I just don't have enough damage.
Well, if you're killing the ads, you do. Now it just takes forever. Right? The problem here, though, is that it feels like we don't have enough heals, because Astrid's going to die, and Thor's going to die, and Ancora can only bring back one champion.
Yeah, that's also part of it, I think.
And, maybe if your Duke the Pierce had enough accuracy to land the decreased attack, you wouldn't have to worry that much. Well, maybe you would have enough.
I think I just got unlucky because he landed it the other time. Yeah, so we're getting cooked, basically. Okay, so, all right. So it's interesting. So, I mean, it's a gearing issue. I haven't spent the time to really gear these guys correctly for this. But so if we were going to build a team to beat it, would an easier way to do it just be to get the Sinesha and put them on cooldown consistently?
Yes, absolutely. It's the easiest way to go, because not only does she give you the lockout for him, she gives you the HP rebalancing, which is crazy good. She gives you damage
I'm going cruelty, by the way. I'm going cruelty. I'm doing it. We're doing cruelty. Give it to me. All right.
There you go.
She's cruel.
But I will say, look at that skill, because I'm not sure, is it 100% when it's unbooked?
Oh, God, you're probably right. It is 100%. Let's go.
100% when it's unbooked. Okay. It's on a 4-turn cooldown, not a 3-turn cooldown. But between that and her heals and, what you've already got on the team, I think really important is going to be Astrid. You have to have the increased speed. You have to have the turn meter fill. You have to have the little bit of extra sustain that she gives you from turn meter fills. She gives you a heal. And then the rest of it is kind of up to you. Do you want to bring Rathalos back in? I don't think you need 2 damage dealers. I don't think you can actually support 2 damage dealers.
Got it. I just need more healing, basically. I could go with someone like an Aislinn, even potentially. Will definitely keep people alive.
I don't have Aislinn, so how does he keep people alive?
Well, he's just his ally. He's got an ally protect and a massive shield. So he's got both. And anytime someone's revived, as long as I have one Bannerlord in there, this activates, so they immediately get his shield and ally protect. So he's like an absolute tank. And people under shield buffs will receive less damage.
There you go.
So like he could totally work. So okay, so I should probably 6-star my Sinesha, because I guess she's the damage dealer in this.
No, you would. I think you're still going to need
Thor.
She's going to be acting
Rathalos
as a healer.
Okay.
She's going to be acting as a healer. So the question is, how do you balance all of those Does anybody else bring a decreased attack? Who else do you have that brings a decreased attack?
I've got Stagnite. I've got Duck. I've got. Don't have a Rector. I got a Man-Eater, but I don't think he's built for that right now. Let me see the accuracy on him. Yeah, definitely not. These guys decrease attack. No, I don't think any of them are. So it'd have to be an epic. So I'd have to pull. I mean, I think Duck makes the most sense. I'm surprised he didn't land that That debuff, where the hell? Where is he? Let me just see the stats on him. Oh, he's only on 188. Okay, so that does make sense, actually. I thought I had more accuracy on him, but I have more resist because I built him for Hydra to be my Hydra tank.
Yeah, so
a while back.
So then if he's resist, maybe your, I don't know, is your Stagnite more
My
accuracy?
Stagnite has accuracy, yeah. Well, no, does he? Oh, I was like, what? I was like, yeah, my Stagnite has a ton of accuracy.
Yeah, so maybe try him.
So I could do that.
But again, it's going to be like you're talking about juggling, you know, how many skills can you fit into this composition? Mithrala is beautiful for this composition, but maybe she's actually redundant because you're getting coverage from other places with, you know, like if you're bringing in your Aislinn, like he's giving you the shields, then you don't need her shield as much, you know, and he's giving you the ally protect, so you don't. It's really a bit of an experimentation. So, like I said, every free-to-play experience is different.
Yeah,
but
it's trying to figure it all out, right? Put the puzzle
together. But it does
together.
sound like Sinesha is going to give you a lot if you 6-star her. And that's not true for everybody, but like she's going to help you in this spot. She's going to help you in
Faction Wars for sure, which I definitely need her help. I need that damage.
And since you already have Skullcrown, you've got that really nice blender comp.
Blender team is right there. So, okay, so I'll 6-star Sinesha. So we'll go tomorrow. I'll try Eostrid, Sinesha, either Rathalos or Thor, although I think Rathalos probably makes more sense if I'm using Aislinn just because this only works with at least one Bannerlord. And it also makes me immune to, well, this doesn't matter. No one's going to freeze me or anything like this, but it does at least make it so that anytime someone's revived, they're getting coverage. So Eostrid, Aislinn, Rathalos, Sinesha, and do you think someone like Ancora then?
Probably because I don't think you can get through it without a reviver.
Yeah, I feel like I need at least one reviver.
So it's either going to be Arbiter.
Yeah, I was going to say Arbiter.
Yeah, it's going to be Arbiter or Ancora because those are your only. Are those your only 2 revivers?
Those are my best revivers. I think. I don't know why I'm clicking Countess Licks, but Countess. I just really freaking love Countess Licks, Golred. But I think that makes the most sense. So one of these two. So okay, I feel good about that. I've got like a Reliquary Tender, and I have a Tagwar. I could do Tagwar actually.
He's good.
I could, and he's built in a bolster. Yeah, and he's got emergency heal, and he's fully booked.
And then he's got is he AoE revive? He is.
He's an AoE revive, and he puts a shield, and he gives him HP. So Tagwar actually might be the way to go.
Now you're thinking like a free-to-play player.
Yeah, look at me go! I'm becoming free-to-play, and he heals. Unlike the two of them, which they don't, and he gives increased speed.
He's got increased.
Oh
speed.
Man, I made the Tagwar, the 6-star Tagwar big brain play finally paying off.
There you go. There you go.
Dude, this is so much fun to get to talk about this stuff. So
it is.
I just have a couple quick questions before I let you go, because I feel like we've talked for over an hour now. Some of my longest videos, but I love it. Do you think it's worth investing in unlocking all the sparring pit stuff?
Yes.
Okay. So that was one of my questions.
In terms of the return, I would say you want to get the first slot
for everything.
Like the first level, and then probably stop for a very long time, and eventually, like 2 years from now, you would max them out. But the amount of XP that you're actually getting is very high, as long as you're at least like 50% active. Like if you're leaving them there for weeks and you're never swapping them out, then there's no point. But, but the return on investment is very good. Yeah.
Okay, we talked about Faction Guardians. Empowering, I'm definitely prioritizing Faction Guardians for now. The only thing I have empowered, I think, is my Deacon, because I already have that Faction Guardians complete, so we don't need to talk about that. I'm trying to think of anything else I haven't shown. I showed you my Royal Guards, so we do have some sick souls. Look at all these incredible mythical souls that I'll never get to use. All right, so here's actually a question for you, just a general free-to-play question. Do you sell these souls?
It's a question I actually get a lot.
Yeah.
And I would say that we were talking about the snowball before. It's a similar thing where it's like, do you want to put champions into the Faction Guardians, or do you want to use them as chickens to try to snowball harder? And for instance, I'm looking at the Killian the Lucky there, the 5-star, and I'm like, Killian's a decent champion, but he's not overwhelmingly strong. And if you got him, would he instantly be turned into a 6-star champion? It's like the only reason would probably be the soul, or if you needed Bannerlord's faction crypt. So like that would be one I would consider selling. But otherwise, I tend to keep stars for Centranos down the line.
That's the thing, because he's so good in one specific Centrano stage where he's like, not having him makes that stage, at least on hard, damn near impossible to do.
Right. So if you're thinking about Centranos, then you do have to consider keeping stuff. But it's, again, everything you keep that you're not actually putting into a champion on your account is actually just value lost until it comes to fruition.
True. And I would have to have the champion, of course, which is obviously which
you may never ever get.
Never get. I could die before I get that. Probably will before I get that champion, frankly, given how it works in this game. But
right. So what I tend to do is actually I go to the shop. I go to the shop in the Altar of Souls. I go to the merchant.
Okay. You go to the merchant?
Yeah. And I would say, like, if there's somebody here that I want to buy a soul for and I have to sell some souls to do it, then I will.
Ooh, Vergis, actually, I kind of do want to get a soul for, specifically just for, I built him for the Scarab Lord. Did the Vergis, where is it? He's not quite where he needs to be in terms of stats for like Scarab Lord hard. Oh, but attack doesn't really help me.
Doesn't really help him. you need to get to the 3 or 4 star.
I need the 3-star for defense. Like his stats are close. He's close, right? Like 389 resist is close. 235 speed is close. It's just I need a little more HP. I've gotten so incredibly unlucky with a lot of these ascensions. Like I got lucky here and I got lucky here, but damn man, the ascensions are just brutal on some of this stuff. Like if you look at my Rathalos, I mean, this was one I re-rolled, I think, and then, I got a couple decent ones here. Where's my Armands? Okay, I got one here. All right, these are actually not bad. There's something I did recently where I got horrific ascensions. I don't remember which champion it is. Was it Thor? Yeah, it was Thor. Everything was a flat stat and not the one that I wanted.
This is what free-to-play life is about.
It's so
like that is ultimately like you get one shot, and if you miss your one shot, You're screwed. Yeah. And like you just live with the results and you figure out how to make it work anyway. And it's just like, okay, I'll try.
I'm only stage 17 here, but I can go further once I get the gear. That's the thing. So I have potentially up to a stage 25 Sand Devil once I push. And then Phantom I haven't done barely at all. So
by the way, if you struggle with Ninja there, try Frenzy.
Yeah, you think so? Frenzy
can, like, so when Ninja is weak affinity, try Frenzy and see if she'll push through that stage and then switch back to Ninja.
I like Frenzy.
Yeah, she's one of the few champions that can do it. It's actually possible, although it's really tricky, to do all 25 stages of Sand Devil's Necropolis with what's her name? She's a void rare in the High Elves. She's got the HP burn.
Void rare in the High Elves.
Yeah. There she is.
Selenia. Yeah.
She can actually do all 25 stages.
Interesting. Okay.
I haven't done it with Frenzy yet, but theoretically Frenzy should also be able to do it.
Oh, with her as the damage dealer and Godseeker still on the team?
Yeah.
Okay. For a second I was like, how the hell is she staying alive? But okay, I get it.
No, she can't solo it. Sorry.
I was like, wait, what? How? Like, now you're lying. Now you're just freaking lying to me, Colred. But okay, I think I showed off pretty much everything. I think a Great Hall was maybe the only thing we didn't take a look at. So I'm still grinding here. This takes a long time. Very close to getting to 3, so I progress on that Arbiter mission.
Are you doing live arena at all?
Oh no, I haven't. I haven't even spent. I just recently played once or twice just to get the wins. I hate that they've done this. I'm not gonna lie. But that's free to play life. You're at the whims and mercies, and you can't really complain because I'm not spending any money. So,
well, were we getting those? Were we getting those resources before?
No, we were not. So that is the nice thing. That's the bonus.
As a free-to-play player, you look at that and you're like, this is a resource I have access to that I didn't have before. Maybe it's a headache. Maybe it's awful, but it's still something you didn't have.
To be fair, Instinct and Zeal is really good. Although, what level does it drop at this level? I'm sure it's dropping probably a lower level, or is it still the high level?
I don't know. I haven't gotten my drops.
I have no clue, so we'll find that out. But
I'm in gold 1, so
on my main account, I did get a quad roll Instinct piece today.
Nice.
Which was, it was attack percentage chest, but that actually works really well for those areas. So I was like, damn, quad roll speed. I'll take that on Instinct. So, okay, I think we covered it all, dude. Like such an interesting thing for me to get your perspective, right? Like I am still relatively new in the free to play game. And I'm still learning so much about the game and how it works. But I think the thing, I said this when we did our collab on your channel after the free-to-play challenge, the biggest difference that I see between free-to-play and spending is really there's two things. One, you have to be incredibly disciplined in every area of the game with your resource management, and whether it's shards or energy or whatever, it doesn't matter. You have to be disciplined. And on top of that, if you screw up, you're fucked. Like you don't get second chances playing free to play. You don't have any type of like, you know, makeup type stuff like you do as a spender. If you mess up, and I've messed up so many of these fusions because I've fallen asleep. I messed up Jeroboam same way. I fell asleep because of the time difference and the fact that I'm juggling a job. And sometimes I guess raid does feel like a job, but it's so interesting to get you on to kind of take a look at stuff and share some of your insight. And I really appreciate it. So guys, please do me a favor. I said this at the top of the video. I'll say it again. Please go and give Colred a follow. Give him a check out. I know some of you guys are free to play. There's some of you guys are low spend, right? That's a good thing. Save your money. Don't be like me. But yeah, man, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your knowledge. I really appreciate it. Thank
you for having me. I mean, we were all shocked, I guess, in the free-to-play community. We were all shocked at your performance in the free-to-play thing, but you took to it like a duck to water. Do you know what I mean? Like we were like, really, Drock? And it was like, yeah, Drock is on it. And I love the fact that you're still playing this account. I love the fact that like the challenge is interesting to you, and that showcases that like there's a game here for spenders and there's a game here for free-to-play players, and they're both really interesting games. And sometimes they meet, but most of the time they don't. And you know, but thanks for having me. It's been fun. Really, both videos were really fun talking to you. So yeah, I really appreciate it. Make sure to check out the collab too, because I do think we had a really cool, fun collab on your channel. I think we've been talking for like 3 hours. For like 3 hours at least. I've gotten you in trouble with your wife. Your baby needs you. This is great. That's Raid, guys. Listen, if you're gonna put something into life, forget everything else. Raid is the most important thing. You put your time there. Drop it and grind. Drop it and grind. Yeah, exactly. So thank you so much, Colred. I'll put all the stuff below, and I hope everyone has a wonderful day, wonderful night. Thank you for watching. And yeah, this has been Big Papa Drock and Colred Plays, and we are out.